Every haunted hollow needs a phantom hairstylist. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. We're halfway to Halloween, so Traci of Traci Vanover Designs and Martina of the Holiday Workshop brought us together to celebrate. I'm making Faboo of Faboo's Phantom Salon. Let's get into it. We'll need a 2.8-inch foam ball, a foam egg, and half a foam egg, some Model Magic clay, and a couple of toothpicks to start. I flatten the bottom of the foam bowl by tapping it on the table, and I'm going to cut another bigger flat spot on top so that we can stack the half egg on it. I'll push 3 toothpicks into the ball, and I'm going to press the half egg over it, making sure that it's centered, and we're going to set that aside while we flatten a handful of clay. I'm using my brayer to roll it nice and thin, and I'm going to cut it to size to fit around the foam. I press the clay around the foam, making sure that it has good contact, pulling away any excess, and covering the entire surface. My method to smooth it out is basically just to roll it around on the table. I wanted to get it relatively smooth, but I don't mind a few bumps. And now I'm going to repeat the exact same process with the egg. This is going to be her head. To attach her head to her body, I'm going to use a toothpick, and I'm going to fill the gap between her head and her body with the thin snake of clay. I'm going to use my thumbs to push the snake into that gap, and I'll use the handle of my clay tool to roll over it to incorporate it into the other clay. Of course, she's going to need a ghostly tail. So, to create the ghostly tail, I'll roll a thicker snake of clay, tapering it at one end. I'm going to make it nice and long. This will not only be her tail, but it's going to serve as a wee stand to keep her balanced too. I'll attach it to the back and wrap it around to the front and give it a wee curl. Once again, I roll my tool handle over it to incorporate it with the other clay, and I'm going to dampen my fingers a wee bit to smooth it. To create her bouffant hairdo, that's her specialty, I'll roll out 5 more tapered snakes. I'm going to push them into place on her head, adding the wee curls and shaping as I go. I've had this character in my head for a very long time now, so I'm glad I'm finally getting to make her. I think at some point I'll wind up doing characters, for all the people in the neighborhood that you see as phantoms. To finish off her do, I make 2 smaller curls for the sides of her head. Cute, right? I rolled out a teardrop shape for her nose, and I'm going to incorporate it the same way as before. I just push it into place, shape it a wee bit, and use my handle to incorporate it. You get the idea. So I made her a cool pair of cat eye glasses from cardstock. So I want to see where I need to place her cheeks. So I need to take a look with the glasses to see exactly where they need to go. To create the cheeks, I roll a small ball of clay and I'm going to cut it in half. I'll position them so they won't interfere with her glasses. It did take a couple tries to find the sweet spot. I pressed them into place and tried not to screw up the shape too much. I give her dimples by pushing a paintbrush handle up into the bottom of her cheeks. Now, of course, she's going to need some lady parts, so I roll another ball and cut it in half to give her some boobies. Okay, I'll get them where I want them to go, and again, I'll incorporate them just like before. I flatten more clay and cut it into a rectangle to make her stylist apron, which I'm going to lay down the front of her, and then we're going to set her aside for the moment. Now she's going to need some accessories, like a blow dryer. So I roll a small ball, slightly narrowing one end to make the nose of the dryer. And then I'm going to roll a short tube to make the handle. And I'm just going to press those two pieces together. They'll stick. No worries. You could always use a little piece of toothpick to hold them together or glue, but this worked just fine for me. Now she's going to need some shears, so I flattened a wee bit of clay, and I'm going to cut off 2 slices for the blades. And I'm just going to kind of pinch them together there at the bottom. To make the finger rings of the scissors, I flattened 2 teeny balls and pressed those into place right at the bottom of the shears. There we go. Snip, snip. Her arms are constructed from another thick clay snake that I'm going to cut in half, and I'll narrow one end of each half. And I'm going to use the toothpick to attach her arms to the side of her body, and I'll incorporate the clay just like I did before. Once I get them into place and they're all well incorporated, I'm going to shape them to both hold her shears, and in the other hand, she'll be holding her blow dryer. Now we'll set her aside to dry overnight. Once she's dry, she gets 2 coats of Ceramcoat White acrylic paint. I like to give them a coat of white even though she's a ghost and the clay is white. I still like to add a layer of the bright white paint. Her apron gets 2 coats of Ceramcoat Bittersweet orange, and we can't forget the straps around her neck to hold the apron on. Now, while she's drying, let's paint her accessories. The blow dryer gets 2 coats of Ceramcoat Hippo Gray, and I attached it to a toothpick just so, it was easier to handle. The shears get 2 coats of Drizzle Gray, and I'm going to dot the finger rings with Hippo. Even though you won't see them, I like the detail. I used the drizzle gray for the details on the blow dryer too. We'll stripe her apron first with Hippo gray, and then we'll come back in and add white. Here are her cool cat eye glasses. Now, you know she needs some lashes, right? I'm using Hippo for her lashes. And we'll give her glasses some bittersweet orange stripes, you know, to jazz up the specs. I'm also going to use Bittersweet to dry brush her cheeks. And I'm going to use Americana Cadmium Orange for her lips. Mwah. To give her a ghostly hazy effect, I'll make a wash with Folk Art Floating Medium and Drizzle Gray. To do that, I'll prep my brush with the floating medium and pull some drizzle onto my brush, mixing it on the plate. This will give the paint a translucence. I just brush it on, working it into the details and the cracks and crevices, and wiping it back where it needs it. I'll give her lips some white highlights, and I'm going to come in and give her Hippo eyebrows. To seal her, I use a cosmetic sponge to pounce on this Decor multi-purpose sealer. Mod Podge works too. I keep forgetting that I had this sealer on hand, so after I cleaned up my mess and organized all my supplies last week before, I figured I should put this in the rotation. You feel me? And her accessories get a coat as well. She'll get an iridescent pearl necklace. I found these beads in my stash. No idea where they came from, but they work perfectly for this ghostly lady. And I'm going to use a wee bit of 3-in-1 and hot glue to affix her specs and her accessories. And finally, a wee drop of hot glue to attach her name tag. Faboo. She's done. I absolutely love the way she turned out. I'm so glad I finally got to make her. I hope you like her too. Let me know what you think. Please be sure to check out both Traci and Martina's channels. I'll have links in the description box, as well as a link for the playlist and a list of my supplies. So, happy Halfaween. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.